Yeah, we're talking about the Jonathan Yeo official portrait of King Charles III that was unveiled, the first official portrait since his coronation as King of England, and it was unveiled at Buckingham Palace, although it was unveiled, I guess, privately for the family at in Highgrove. That's the family residence for Prince Charles and Princess Camilla. But now that he's been coronated, it's been officially unveiled. And you've got the king in his Welsh Guard uniform, and the background just this very bold red, blood red um, paint, and then you've got the monarch butterfly, which we discussed earlier, over one of his shoulders.
The big symbol besides the butterfly is the idea of blood, because this is very important, uh, in the scheme of pretty much all of these conspiracies about the Illuminati and different bloodlines. If you go to Jonathan Yow's webpage, he says that officially the reason it's red is because that's the uniform color of the Welsh Guards. Um, but same with the U.S. flag. If you look at the U.S. flag, officially the red symbolizes, like bravery or something like that. But in reality, what it really symbolizes is the bloodshed of war, the price of freedom, all these things. So, really, the symbolism of red does equate to the symbolism of blood and sacrifice and such, right? And if we go down that route of exploring the ideas of the symbolism of blood, you see this as, on the surface level, you could argue that Yao is again being political and saying that, look, England, they're colonizers, and this guy is got the blood on his hands of all these people that they've colonized. Some people say that it's comparing him to the devil and that he's burning in hell and stuff like that. So I've even read some people say that it represents the blood of Princess Diana. Um, on a more fringy note, people say, and this is a little much, but some people say that it represents this controversy that they called it the tampon gate in the British press, because there was a transcript of a conversation between Prince Charles and Camilla
Yes.
back when they were having a secret affair. And some
He,
people say that,
yeah, he fantasized about being a tampon, and I'll leave the rest up to people's imaginations.
exactly. And that train of thought is kind of odd too when you consider that Prince Philip was the one who said if he was ever reincarnated, he wanted to come back as a deadly virus to solve the overpopulation issue.
That's right.
Uh, which again, like that's the calling card for how these elites think and how they view humanity is, we're a real issue. We're a sort of a virus that needs to be taken care of in a
Yeah,
way.
they want to return us to sort of a new feudal age, where the kings reign supreme once again, and they're going to herd the great unwashed, that would be you and me, into the large cities where we would be heavily surveilled and controlled, and 15-minute cities. Um, Deep after we're sufficiently culled and depopulated so that we can be managed and controlled, and then they would rewild large tracts of land, huge tracts of wilderness in places like the United States, well, all over the world. And it'd be like back in the days of lords and vassals, where we're not allowed to hunt on the lord's land. We have to we have to stay in the city. That's for the rewilded regions in these vast corridors would be for the nobles, right? The elites.
Yeah, and this is all evident in a lot of the Great Reset talk, the World Economic Forum and such. In fact, I was listening to your episode. You had a guest on talking about the environmental sort of agenda and stuff. And I'm not the smartest guy on earth. I've heard arguments on both sides of this thing, and I could see both sides. I'm not a scientist. I don't really know where I stand on it, but I do know whether it's true or not that man is damaging the environment. I mean, that's got to be true on some levels. I do see that, but do we need to take how drastic do these measures need to be? Right. I do think that the powers that be, regardless of whether or not this is a real thing or happening at the level which they say it is, I do think that they want to use that as the way to defend these sort of like 15-minute cities and coffin apartments and all this stuff, because it's been sort of like their laid in plan for a long time. And it's an occult concept too, because Aleister Crowley talked about this in his I think it was Liber Oz was the name of they call it a book, but it's more like a declaration page. And he said the slave shall serve, and that's their attitude of how this works. And the idea of blood, when you get into the occult, they they call for blood in a lot of the rituals. Aleister Crowley had a Gnostic mass where he had this mockery of the communion, and in his Gnostic mass communion wafers, the cakes of light, it called for blood. Also, he wrote a book called Magic and Theory and Practice, and I'm going to read a sentence from there. It says, it's talking about the chalice which they use in the ritual. It says, this cup is said to be full of the blood of the saints. That is, every saint or magician must give the last drop of his life's blood to that cup. It is the original price paid for magical powers. And I think that there's something to that. I think that they do subscribe to a Faustian bargain in a way, the idea of a blood sacrifice in exchange for the gods to give them powers. And you see this with Marina Abramovic, who is a very famous artist, and she's had these spirit cooking events. The term blue blood refers to the elites, the royals, meaning they have a special blood, which is their belief system. They believe in this divine right to rule, because they think that they are sort of above us. And you could go into um, theories about, David Icke had an interesting theory about them being shape shifting lizard people that I find fascinating. But to stick to the painting, or to wrap up the sort of painting talk, the idea here is that the artist possibly is showing us blood symbolism on this painting. And then this is where it gets subjective. Where does the mind take you? Does it take you to British being colonizers, or does it take you to the idea that they understand that their blood gives them the divine right to rule, and they are sort of special, and they know how to sort of connect magically to some other, higher power?